Hi guys, welcome to Kiddies Talk with Rona. How you doing? It's been a minute. So welcome to another beautiful episode on Kiddies Talk. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, and it is homeschooling. Have you heard of the word homeschooling before? What's your take on it? Is it something you have ever slightly considered? Or does the thought of it give you some shivers? You know, with the African and Nigerian thing now, they always say that it takes a village to raise a child. Thought of now having, a child with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Oh my god, it gives me a lot of shivers, but it's a very beautiful idea that has actually come to stay. Homeschooling has been legalized in several countries around the world. Yes, so many countries are starting to see it as a form of education and learning also, which is accepted really. So all that is required is that you're following the rules and regulations and requirements that the state has provided for homeschooling in your state. In some very developed countries really, homeschooling is something that is very legalized and is a norm. People are doing it for several reasons. To have better bonding time with their children, because I mean really life is short, and the time that children spend with you as a parent is actually even shorter. You get they will go to school, they will become teenagers, they will start to go to university. You see, once they are done with primary school, in fact, you already know that your child is starting to leave you. So it is very understandable when a family picks the option of homeschooling. Some do it because they want to protect their children from the exposure out there, and that is also very understandable, because there is a lot of things that children are exposed to even from a very young age. These days we see books that are being read in schools, we see things that are being normalized in schools, and it just gives you a scare, like giving children the right to decide their gender, exposing children to very sexualized content on books. So many things are happening today, and it is a good reason if some parents would want to protect their children. Who is qualified to homeschool a child? For countries where it is legalized, as long as you meet the requirements of the state law, for instance, academic status, you see, for some countries, they would require that you probably have university certificate. So, it differs from country to country. That's one of it. And then some other countries, they probably would ensure that you have the required curriculum, scheme, and materials that you need to homeschool the child. So, basically, anybody can homeschool a child if you meet the requirements of and provisions of law in your country, in your state. What are the perks really of homeschooling in our environment? Do you think it's something that we are going to really get into in the nearest future? Do you think people will be open-minded about homeschooling in a setting, considering how we are raised, considering our culture style in this country, in Africa generally? Drop a message on the comment section. Really, what are some advantages of homeschooling? The first one would be the family bonding time that we talked about before. Homeschooling gives you opportunity to bond with your children in a way that can never be taken for granted, because you spend time to really know your children and form a good relationship with them, like you wouldn't have been able to if they were going to school, because sometimes we get so busy and then you just push some things aside. But you notice and observe every single detail about your child when it's homeschooled. You're able to instill all the moral values that you have as a family in the children, because there's close-up monitoring with the children. In the traditional school environment these days, there is so much peer pressure, there is so much bullying going around, there is so much influence. How do you keep your children safe from that? We'll be talking about some of this, also in other episodes of our show, but streamlining it to our topic on homeschooling interest. And when your child is homeschooled, he doesn't get exposed to all those kind of influences, because you can train your child well, but how do you know another person's child was trained properly? But then the child goes to school and mixes up with that person's child, and by one reason of influence or another, he forgets his home training, not by because he wants to, but there's so much pressure, there's so much influence to do bad, so homeschooling helps to protect the child really from all those vices. It helps to ensure that the child really receives very quality learning. Your lesson plans, your curriculum is suited to the style of learning of the child, is suited to the child's interest. I mean, there's some people who from a very young age notice the interest of a child and tailor the child's curriculum solely to that. It gives parents the very beautiful option and flexibility of grooming the child, especially for children who have special needs. With homeschooling, you're able to give your child the kind of attention required to suit the child's interest, to suit the child's character. So you're able to provide a very, very quality education to a child overall. All you require are the materials that the child needs at every stage. And homeschooling is a way cheaper option. So there are several online platforms that you can take advantage of to homeschool your child. And if you follow this channel very closely, I will be giving you some online learning platforms you can take advantage of on that free. Just follow me very closely on this channel and you will get so many insightful guidance on how to go about teaching your child generally, being involved with your child's academics. There are some disadvantages also of homeschooling, and then one of it would be peer pressure also. These days it becomes very difficult to explain that I am teaching my child, especially in our African and Nigerian setting. We're not like the developed countries where nobody really cares what you're doing with your life and you can just do whatever and then you don't have too many explanations to make. In our setting, you have to explain and explain. Maybe there's a problem with the child, there's always something, so it puts the parents in some form of pressure to meet up to a certain standard. There's always a fear of, has he taken the right step? Let me give you a very short story about a child, Esther, who turned out very beautifully well homeschooled. Esther is a Nigerian child who was homeschooled from a very young age. She grew up in the United Kingdom with her family, her mom being a mathematician. At age 3, Esther was already solving very difficult algebra sums. Her mom noticed her flair for it and then, furnished her interest in the subject, and she continued to do so well. At age 7, she was ready to go into college, you see, and all this from being homeschooled by her mom. And today Esther is already a PhD holder in financial mathematics and doing very great things. She already has books that she has written about mathematics. That's just one of the very many beautiful examples of how homeschooling helped some families, children. But my professional and honest advice really would be for you to take the option that best suits you and your family. So let me know if homeschooling is something that you'll be willing to try out, and if you would like for me to bring you some more insightful teachings, I could bring you some updates on homeschooling and as it relates to your country. Send me a message in the comment section, on what you'd like for me to discuss again with regards to this topic, homeschooling. So until I come your way again, please stay blessed and enjoy your time with your children as much as possible. Life is short and children leave you with the snap of a finger. So do everything you can to be there for your children, no matter the option you choose, homeschool or no homeschool. Thank you so much for joining me on the talk today. I will see you again in the next episode. I love you. Have a good one. Bye bye.